Uniqueness. Why is that a bedrock of opportunity for profitability for any business on the planet? That's what we're discussing on this episode of the Business Coaching Success Podcast. Let's jump in. BJ O'Neill here with the Business Coaching Success Podcast. So glad you're here, where I share with you strategies, tools, and tips to be able to grow your business coaching practice to six figures and beyond as a Christian business coach. Let's jump in. Welcome. Glad that you are here. We are discussing uniqueness. Why is it so important for a business to be fundamentally unique than anything else as an option in the marketplace, regardless if it's a local business, regardless if it's a global business or a virtual business, that is? That's what we're going to discuss. So a couple of things here as you are listening, as you're working through this. You may be a business coach. You may be thinking about becoming a business coach. And what you're going to hear today is an explanation when we talk about the word strategy. I'll talk about that in a moment. You may be on our coaching team. And if you are coaching with us, these are the types of things that you really want to help businesses understand to unlock key opportunities for significant profitable growth. If you are listening to this, you may own a business and maybe you haven't really thought deep enough about your business and the uniqueness opportunity that lies for greater profitability. All right. So lots of you listening, different segments here, right? But the bigger point is for today is we want to talk about why strategy matters, number one. And so as we talk about that, we're using uniqueness as an example. All right. So that's the strategy is going to be uniqueness. And the reason why we want to myopically focus on that is that to really fundamentally grow the business with consistency, it really requires growing it in small percentage ways in multiple areas. Too many businesses attempt to overload on one area. Okay. And even if you're getting great gains out of that, that's good. However, if you're not multidimensional and you're growing in multiple areas, the risk is that when that one area that you're leveraging, it's like standing or leaning against a spider web. You're just going to fall right through it. In other words, it's not going to last very long once you put too much pressure on it. And that's very normal. And it happens in a number of different ways. So that's write that down, get that ingrained no matter, what your walk of life is. And if you're coaching, looking at coaching, owning a business, it is important that you look in multiple areas for growth. All right. So we're going to use uniqueness as an example. And I'm just going to pretend for the moment that I'm talking directly to a business owner as a strategist and as a coach, helping them to understand this. The overlooked and often overlooked key to profitability. That by and large is uniqueness. I'm going to give you a couple of different real world examples to help kind of expand and illustrate the opportunity that lies either A, your client, or B, if you own a business directly. By the way, it doesn't matter the size of the business. Doesn't matter if you're a startup, if you're doing $500,000 in top line revenue, if you're doing 2 million, 20 million, it's all relative. Okay. So here's what typically happens. It's not that difficult today, honestly, to get a business to up around 500,000 to 700,000 in top line revenue, and then everyone kind of hits the proverbial what we call the law of the lid. Okay, that's different for everybody, but the law of the lid, that's a John Maxwell reference. Love John, love what he does. I think the way that he teaches when it comes to strategies and laws, if you will, to live by. This is one of them. And it's the law of the lid, where a business hits a certain threshold and they simply just can't go above and beyond it. Well, what I've discovered is that the big reason behind that usually is all related to they're not paying attention to strategies. They kind of MacGyvered their way to that number, whatever it is. And I can almost bet you that they've not spent a lot of time in uniqueness, which is what we're going to talk about. So, number one, the overlooked key to profitability is by far uniqueness, okay? Meaning, why would someone choose you, meaning the business? Why would they choose this business over all of the other options? More importantly, why would they be crazy not to choose them. Think about that. So if you're working with a business as a coach, this is something that you want to highlight. If you currently own a business, this is something you want to really process right now. Think about it for yourself. Like, can you verifiably say, man, it is ironclad, so incredibly obvious and specific as to why someone would choose business with us over competitive options? All right. Now, if you can't say that, guess what? Good news. You've got opportunity. If you're coaching, this is where you, as the strategist and the guide, you're helping them to what we call aha moments. In other words, we're helping them to recognize these areas of opportunities and why they are so powerful, okay? Uniqueness is by far a unique, profitable standpoint. So let's say that there are, 7 choices in the marketplace. And doesn't matter what the category is. I'll tell you what I'll use for the moment. I'll use driveway and concrete asphalt companies. And the reason why is I've got a crack in my current driveway that needs fixed. This needs fixed for a couple of years. It's gotten really bad. And I have started to research, well, as you know, how the algorithms work. When you do that, you start getting ads from these types of companies. Here's the cool thing. I've seen just this day 3 ads, 3 different companies that say and do the exact same thing. There's verifiably no difference in them whatsoever. None. So what do you think the number one area that I'm going to choose that company? What's it going to be? It's only one. If they all do the same thing, the same tools, they think that they're different, but they're not. They literally, I can show you the ads. The ads are almost identical, saying the same thing. What's the verifiable? It's called price. So if you're listening right now and you're working with the business, you want to point this out, that one of the challenges that they have, that if they're not so unique, they're having to reduce their fees, which shrinks their margins. If you currently own the business, think about that for a moment. You need to verify that you do something that nobody else does. Otherwise, this is likely one of the areas of why you've got opportunity. When you can create that uniqueness, you no longer have to reduce your fees. Okay, here's another example. There is a new, it's not new, it's new in our community. It's a company called Swig. All right, they are a drive-through. I think you can walk up to them as well. But think about like an ice cream store, but soda. And they call them dirty soda, meaning they're flavors to them. They have, like 30, 40, 50 flavors, different types of ways, combinations they do them, swirls. It's crazy. I think it's overhyped. That's just me. I don't drink soda, so I'm not their demographic by no means. But here is an organization that you can go to any fast food store and get soda. You can walk into any grocery store and get a ton of different flavored soda. Yet, this company creates soda's not unique, been around forever, right? Coke and Pepsi and Dr. Pepper and, of course, Coke and Pepsi own basically everything, but they're constantly competing. Yet, here comes this other company called Swig that does something so incredibly unique that now, like Chick-fil-A, the drive-through line is down the street, and you're often going to wait 30 to 40 minutes to get a soda. Think about that just for a moment. I think it's bananas. But it's proof yet once again of how uniqueness just stands out and can drive the profits and the revenues of the business just to skyrocket. Here's what's also crazy about Swig in my community. The facility that they're in, that they purchased, is a standalone small little building. It has been there for almost 20 years. It's been 4 different things that I can remember, maybe even more than that, and none of them have lasted. It's been vacant for as long as it has been occupied. Swig comes in, and you can't hardly get there. I've gone one time. My daughter, who's 14, almost 15, they want to go. They, being her and her friends, want to go all the time. That thing is packed constantly. Why? They're doing something incredibly unique. Is offering all these different crazy flavors, different concoctions, and they've created, like Chick-fil-A, they've created an experience out of it. Now, you might own that concrete company. You may own the dry cleaners, and the first thing that you're likely going to say is, but BJ, we're not unique. It's dry cleaning. It's concrete. Oh, contraire, mon frere. You can. You just got to work at it. But when you do, it is the overlooked key to profitability. There's essentially 40 different areas, by the way, strategies that you got to review in business growth. But uniqueness is by far a bedrock, a foundational principle that can change the outcomes, okay? Can change the outcomes. So the second part about being unique, I used the word just a moment ago, is how can you drive an experience? So your product, you can have a different product or a different way to present the product. In this case, soda, and by the way, Pepsi and Pepsi and Coke have different types of flavors as well. If you ever go to those self-serve machines now that you can select a bunch of different ones, they have tons of different ones, right? But yet now Swig creates all these different flavors that you can argue if they're any good or not. Some believe Starbucks is not any good as well. Doesn't matter. It creates enough of desire and market demand to become unique. As a matter of fact, Starbucks, not to get off on a tangent, has created, you think about how many local community coffee shops there are in your market that did not exist prior to Starbucks being around. They brought on a revolution. If it's coffee, you used to get it back in the day for 50 cents in a styrofoam cup at the gas station. And now you're paying $4 and $5 for lattes and all kinds of different things because of uniqueness and an experience. So I'm going to go back to the very common service-based style businesses just because those are the ones that I hear so much from people to say, how can we be unique? Well, if you're a roofing company, if you're a concrete company, if you're a garage door company, you owe it to your business, you owe it to yourself, you owe it to your employees, and you certainly owe it to the market to redraft the way you're set up. And just ask the question, get on a whiteboard and go, if we were to create a unique experience, what would that look like? And think about that just for a moment. How many businesses do you believe especially in the service-based industries, even have that conversation about the business? Like, if we were to create an experience, what would that look like? And you begin to whiteboard it. And if you're not familiar with the story with the Savannah Bananas, you need to go check it out. There's a waiting list for tickets of 2.5 million people. They just sold out the stadium at Clemson, 81,000 people. They're doing a stadium tour for entertainment-style basketball the way the Globetrotters did basketball. Entertainment-style baseball the way that the Globetrotters did basketball. And it's crazy. I almost said it's bananas. That would be too much of a pun. But I hope this is starting to kind of give you space to process. This concept of strategy is important. Because when you start to really walk through it step by step by step, there are areas of opportunities that you have not thought about, you have not processed, that can change the trajectory of the business. All right? So one, you want to really process and consider uniqueness. Two, you want to process and consider experience. It's not enough to do the same thing the way everybody else is doing it. Do something so dramatically different that it causes customers to go, holy smokes, who does that? That's crazy. That's what experiences can do. It gets you talked about. It gets you shared on the community Facebook pages of neighborhoods. I live in a neighborhood of 400 homes, and all the time there are people sharing great experiences. Well, when you have a unique experience, it will exponentially expedite and increase that opportunity, okay? So I've spent some time here. One, I'm going to roll it back to the beginning to make sure you really caught the first part of this. Strategy. Strategy comes before tactic. The tactic is going and just doing the thing. Okay? And if you've got a lot of tactics happening, in other words, a lot of activity, but you haven't first thought about the why and the how, then you've got some homework to do. Bigger than that, you've got some opportunity to do. All right? So if you own the business, this should excite you. If you haven't spent enough time going, how can we present our product uniquely? And what kind of experience can we deliver? If you've never done that, I'm telling you, you're about to change your business. If you're the strategist and the coach and you are engaging with prospects, this is the kind of stuff you can begin to talk about them on the front side of things. If they're becoming a client, then you got an opportunity. Now, if you're on our team, that you know we already have a step-by-step sophisticated process to deliver these types of opportunities to do these things in a sequential order, okay? And it's exciting. It's a lot of fun. It's very interactive. Businesses get excited about it, and you should too. But the bigger thing is, just think about this. We've scratched the surface on one simple strategy: uniqueness. Don't think that you can't be unique, because you can. The HVAC company can be unique. The pizza company can be unique. The dry cleaners company can be unique. The list goes on and on and on. But my gut says you probably have been like, well, we've never really thought about that before. We've never wrestled with that before. That's your homework. That's your call to action. That's what you need to do. I'll leave you with this. You can call it a, what are you going to call it? I've got my notes here. Uniqueness audit. Okay? A uniqueness audit. Write down all of the things that you do, what you offer, your products, your services, and how you offer them. When I say how, like my example about what are the ways that several of the companies I've interacted with concrete repair, they are currently utilizing Facebook ads as an arm for a marketing channel. That's one of the hows of how they talk about their product. Write those things down and then go do a survey on your competitors. Are you finding that they use the same words? Are you finding that they use the same equipment? Are you finding that they phrase things the same way? They're using similar images of before and after. Their website has a similar outlook. If you're finding all these similarities, then guess what? You have no distinctiveness compared to your competitors. Now, it might be a little bit of a larger pill to swallow to go, well, that's a point that we have to do something about, right? And that means there's work to be done, but bigger than that, there's opportunity on the horizon, and you can do it, okay? There you go. If you are, at any point in time, if you're interested in our business coaching community, you can go to businesscoachmastery.com. You'll find some information there. You can also schedule a time for a quick chat to learn about what we do to how we help both businesses and coaches to start business coaching practices, okay? Until next time, take care.